His disturbing incident happened a month ago. During the middle of the night, my son Todd, who is about almost 6 years old at this point, went into my room and woke me up, which I thought he probably had a nightmare. I asked him if he had a nightmare. He slowly shook his head no and said, "I think there is a ghost in my room." It didn't surprise me. He thinks that since a lot of children his age are scared of a lot of things like the dark or monsters under the bed. "Have you and your friends been talking about ghost stories again at school?" I said as I picked Todd up and put him on my lap and ensured him there were no ghosts in this house. I put him beside me as we both slept in bed together. The next night around like 2 in the morning, Todd came into my room again saying about a ghost and how it was making a banging noise. I picked him up and took him to his room, putting him on his bed as I was searching for this ghost. I thought if I proved that there was no ghost anywhere in his room, maybe he wouldn't be scared and go back to bed. So I checked under his bed, his toy box, his closet and his dresser drawers. "See, there are no ghosts around here," I said as I pulled covers over him. "But what about the banging I was hearing?" I looked around and opened the window curtains in his room. It's probably just the branch near the window, the wind probably making it hit it. I pulled the curtains close and kissed my son goodnight and went off to bed. For past nights my son keeps coming into my room for the same reason. At this point I was getting annoyed and told him he needed to stop listening to ghost stories with his friends at school. Until last night he said, "I'm hearing voices in my room." At that time I thought he was just saying that to make me keep him in my bed, so I just brushed it off and put him back to bed. The next day, though, I was still thinking about what he said, like, is he telling the truth or simply just making it up? That morning after I dropped my son off from school, I went into my closet and got out an old nanny cam that was placed in one of Todd's old teddy bears. I never thought I'd use this again. I used it to keep an eye on him when he was an infant that time. I went into his room with the bear and cleaned some of Todd's toys up in the process and closed the door and got ready to go to work. During that night it was pretty peaceful. Todd didn't come into my room that night, so I thought maybe he was making excuses. Or it was the branch scaring him, but since we don't have no wind right now, it must have stopped. The next day I did the same routine with Todd and sent him to school. Before I went to work though, I took the bear out of the room and decided to look at the footage of the camera it took last night. I played the video suspecting the whole thing is just Todd sleeping in his bed, but what I saw 2 hours in the video sent a chill down my spine. I saw a man slowly coming out from my son's closet, creepily going close to him next to his bedside, and starts just deeply staring at him. The footage of him just glancing at my son while he was sleeping was for an hour long. He then starts to quietly walk round his room, just casually touching stuff without trying to make noise. I was in such a state of panic and shock watching this video. When it was almost 5 in the morning, I saw him quietly going back in the closet and quietly closed the door behind him. That quickly brought to my attention this guy is probably still in the house. I raced out the door to the outside of the house, and I quickly called 911 to get over here. A few minutes passed, then the police got here. At that time I was relieved they were here. It turns out the guy was living in the attic, which was in my son's closet. The police don't know how long he has been up there, but during those restless nights my son has been having, I'm guessing he was here for a while. The police took him into custody and was searching for more clues around the attic. One of the cops noticed there was a little peephole on the floor, and looking directly in it you can see on top of my son's bed. Which scared me. He has been watching my son every time he is in his room. During that time I swear to take my son a little more seriously since that day, and to make sure he will never know what ghost was really there watching him.